Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today we're going to Masechtas Nedarim Daf Mem Zayin. We're going to begin at the very top of Mem Zayin, about Aleph, quoting the words of the Mishnah. So on this, the Mishnah says on Mem Vav Amud Aleph that in a situation where a person says to his friend, "Koinim leveischa shani nichnas," that he's making a neder on your house, which means he's only talking about the present owner, or v'sadcha, it's your field. Shani lokech, so shemarchel acher mutter. Once that person dies, or for that matter, if that property was sold to someone else, he's now allowed to go into the field, can go into the house, because he specified leveischa v'sadcha. Ma'ashein kain, the seif of the Mishnah, koinim bayis zeh shani nechnas, sada zu shani lokech. He's saying this field, this house, which means it's not going on the person, it's not on the government, it's on the chayfetz. And therefore, because of that, even if, let's say, that person would die or the property was sold, then it would still be usher. Because, again, since you said the lashon of zu, so it's on the actual property, not on the person who owns it. Okay, so with that said, let's see the Gemara. So, boy Avimi. So Avimi poses the following question. Koinim l'bayis zeh. So a person makes this neder, and he says, this house, shiata nichnas, regarding your entry. Now, in this situation, the fact that he said this language, he didn't say leveischa, didn't say your house, he said levayis zeh. Meso shemachol acher mahu. In this situation, that person dies, or that property is sold, what is the din? So again, this is different than the language of our Mishnah. Our Mishnah says, "Leveischa shani nechnas v'sadcha shani lokeach." Here it says, "Koinim l'bayis zeh," this house, which sounds a lot like the Seifa. "Koinim bayis zeh shani nechnas, sada zu shani lokeach." So in that situation, but since he said "Koinim l'bayis zeh shata nechnas," so the question is, what is the din? So Adam oiser davar shibrashusai. Is a person able to answer something which right now is in his rishus, that even after it has left his rishus, it's not his anymore, that it could still be answered. Alo, do we say that he can't do that? Even though right now he has full control over this item, but since eventually if it's sold, or that person dies, so then the Yorshim are the ones who own it. So therefore, he can't answer something which in the future he'll not have control over. So this is the discussion which we've had previously. Look at the Ran. So the Ran says, "Koinim l'bayis zeh shani nechnas, meso marchol acher aser." So kivan debayis zeh koimer. If he says this house, actually, let's hold off. Let's see the Gemara's answer first. Tashma. So Gemara says, if a person says to his son, quote, "Koinim shi'iyata neheneli," that I'm making a neder that you are not able to get hana from me, your future, regarding your future Yerusha, umeis, and then the guy dies, Yerashenu. This person is still able to inherit it. So it's possible that he's just saying that you can't get hana currently, but once you are Yarish, then it's okay. But if you said b'chayav moiso, if you even said in my lifetime and also in the death, umeis lo yershena, he can't inherit it. Shema mina adam oiser davar shebashoso k'sheitzim yershoso shema mina. So it's actually a raya that even though it will eventually not be in his rishos, but just like this person, once he dies, so what right does he have to aser it? The din is that he still has the capacity to do so, because right now it's in his dominion, it's in his control. And since right now it's in his control, so therefore the din is that he could aser it now. So now let's spend a few minutes looking at this Ran. So the Ran says that koin l'bayis zeh shani nechnas, so umachol acher aser. So again, we're saying that's the case, that he does have the ability to aser. Kivan debayis zeh, since he's speaking about this house, shavi hilchati chadisura. He's making this house aser. Hilkach afil machol acher aser. Even sold afterwards, it's aser. Skipping a line. V'oimer by zeh. What happens if he says this house, but nuffle, and then all of a sudden the house fell? Aval pi shechazur banoi, once, even though he rebuilds it, muterbo. All of a sudden he's mutter. The kivan and nuffle, azda, because we go after the fact that it fell. So therefore, it's almost like it's a different house. The amul of beis chazeh mishum zeh ata toivsai ben lechumra de mechira ben lekula dinafila. So we say that language of zu, even though it makes it strict because it's on the object, and therefore even if it's sold or the person dies, but here it's actually a kula. So question 11: Ha'imr koinim by zeh or beis chazeh. Mahadin im naflu uvanoi o machul acher. So if it fell, then it's mutter with both of them. Machran acher asur b'shneihem. Again, because it's totally on this house. So since it's this house, even if it's sold, it's still asur. However, if the house fell and it was rebuilt, that's considered to be a new house. Okay. Fine. So that's what the Ran is saying over here. Okay. Just want to make sure that I'm not skipping a key Ran. Okay. So then the Gemara says like this: Tanan Hasam. Kainim Perish Ha'elu Olai. Person makes a neder on fruit, these fruits on me. Kainim Hain al pi. Koinim hein lefi aser bechilufeihen. So we say that he's aser even in its exchange. Now, as if you would sell it, the money is also aser. Also uvigiduleihen. Also, its growth is considered to be aser. Okay, so the chilufin are still going to be considered to be aser in this case. Okay. Let's see this Ran. Boy bimi kainim l'bayzeh. So koymer the nehidi armidim amastisin the oimer bayzeh machol achar aser hanimil b'oisel atzmo. So our mission, the whole question that we saw before, is only when you aser something on yourself. Dematzi aser anashe, because you aser something on yourself. Aval achavre, when you aser something to your friend, nehid bayzeh oil mashma. I understand the word bayzeh means forever. Miu. Maybe local himenu also kashetz reshuso. It's not his ability once it leaves his reshus. So maybe again I could always aser myself, but if I'm asering that you can't use it, so maybe that's only the time when I own it. Okay, and we said there is no. He still has the ability to do that. Fahavi yodeya. Okay, so let's continue. So we said that when it comes to the growth or the chilufeihen, the din is that it is also aser. So by Rami Barchama, Aimer Kainim Perasa Elu Al Ploini, a person says that these fruits are aser on someone else, Mahu Bechilufeihen. What's the din regarding its chilufin? So not the first case is he asered it on himself. So the din is, since you aser on yourself, so therefore we're going to also aser the chilufin. The question is, when you're asering the fruits on someone else, do we also say that not only the parents are aser, but also its exchange? The money would also be aser. So mi amrinan mahu bechilufehen. Mi amrinan gabi delay. Regarding asering it yourself, hoyel adam oiser peres chavero atzmo. You're able to aser someone else's fruits upon yourself. So adam oiser davar shalobol oilumal atzma. You can also aser something which is not here, namely the chilufeihen, on yourself, because you could aser things on yourself. So if you're saying this is restricted to me, so the restrictions work, and therefore the chilufin also will be aser to you. However, gami chavero, when it comes to you asering these fruits on someone else, hoyel be'in adam oiser peros chavero al chavero, since a person cannot aser his friend's fruits on himself, on the other guy, you can't say those fruits that you own, they're aser to you. It doesn't work. It's not yours to do that. So hey adam oiser davar shlobo olam al chavero. So maybe also you cannot answer something which is a davar shlobo olam on your friend either. O Dilma, as we look quickly on Mem Zayin Beis, we're going to go back. Mishum dechilufehen kigidulin davi. The exchange is like growth. Lo shnahu v'lo shnachaveroi. It doesn't make a difference if you asered it. The growth on you is aser, so too on the other way around. So let's look at this Ran regarding chilufein. It's not talking about the exchange, the money, whether or not it's aser. So anything which is aser bahana is aser to sell as well as the isser of its exchange. Also, you cannot use. We can find the value of chametz on Pesach, or for an ox that gorged, that you can just sell it to an Avi Chachamim. But we said that if someone would steal chametz b'Pesach or shor niskel, you don't have to pay. Why don't you have to pay for it? Because it's worthless. But maybe if you want to tell me that the chilufehen, that its value, if its exchange actually has some monetary value, so then it would be a question: how is it shaykh then to be able to say you're patur from tashlumin? Certainly, l'chatchil, you're not allowed to get hana from the chilufein either. Ela b'sha'avar v'hechlifon. Masafkele, we're talking about it became exchanged. Well, achar nami lo meboyle, we're not talking about someone else. Debshitele, the mutarin, shein locha taifas as damav ela bodas kachabim u'shvius. We know that the money's not taifas except when it comes to avodah zarah and shvius. Those are the two exceptions that when you exchange the kedusha, the original kedusha stays. If you do it the second time to the third, that actually does flip it. But the original kedusha stays, as is brought down in, I believe, the fourth parak in Masechta Sukkah. By avodas kachavim v'shvius is the exception. Behind it, nan u'maisel b'reish chulin chamtzin shel oivri aveira achar Pesach. When it comes to the chametz of those who sin after Pesach, mutter miyad memnei shehein machlifin, because you could always just exchange. It could have been exchanged for money. Ella, so certainly when it comes to chilufeim, in that case it does work. El masavkele I mitzterei mechalifin midrabanan ba'alma olo. The question is, do we say that the chalifin midrabanan is going to be problematic? Question 12. Maharaya shehevi haran shalom miboilon she'asal chatchil hachlef isuri hana. How do we know that you certainly are not l'chatchil allowed to do this? So the answer is, it's also chalufehen dimukin matzinu domim le'isur l'isuri hana. So the fact is, if it's someone who steals these things, again, like chametz on Pesach or shor niskel, you don't have to pay for it because it has no monetary value. But if in fact you want to tell me that you could do the exchange, and that exchange does have some monetary value, and it's disconnected from the original source, so then why would you say you're patur tashlumin? However, so let's continue question 12. Even when it comes to chalipin, luma boilan shemutter lacherim, that's mutter to others. So he says, mutter lacherim ditnan the chamsin shel every aveira mutter nation machlifin. When it comes to the chametz of those who sin, it's mutter because of the exchange. So there is an element of chilufein when it comes to chametz. However, again, it certainly is also chatchila lahachlef. Okay. Let's continue. So, with that said, this is the Gemara's question. When you aser something on yourself, certainly the chilufein are aser. The question is, if you aser something on someone else, in which we have a kula, because ein adam oiser peiros chavero al chavero, you can't aser someone else's fruits, which they own. So ein adam oiser davar shlo b'oilam al chavero. You also can't aser something which is not here on your friend. So let's go back to Mem Zayin Beis. So, or do we say, no, chalifin kin gedulin dami lo shnahu v'lo yishna chavero, and it works. So Omer Rav Acha bar min yomi tashma ha'imro ishto. A person turns to his wife and says, "Kainim shani nehenelich. I'm not going to derive hana from you." Lova. So let's say the woman could borrow money. So ubali chayvin boyin, and bali chayvin come, people that are owed money come, v'nifroim, and come to collect, that they could do so. My time of bali chayvin nifroim la mishum dechilufeihen lav ki gedulin dami. It must be that the chilum do not have the same status as gedolim. She's exchanging her husband's assets, so chilufeim are not aser bahana. So marava dilmo chatchilahu dolo. Maybe l'chatchila you can't. However, avad, but maybe the evidence works. Ela toshma mekadesh ba'arla. Someone who's mekadesh a woman with fruits which are less than 3 years in mekadesh, this doesn't work because it's iser hana. However, machav kiddush, if let's say he sold it and then was mekadesh with that exchange, b'demehen harizu mekadeshes. So the fact that it's mekadeshes again must be a rayam that the din is that chilufeihen have a different status. And that's the reason why, if you do an exchange, it is a good kedushin. Whereas the hachanami l'chadchilu delo, maybe l'chadchilu not supposed to do a avad, but the evidence not so clear. Okay, we're gonna actually stop there, but we have a couple more. We have a few runs on this amud, and then we'll see a couple more questions. So the Ran says, "Mi wakati shibuda nechasekoi hilkach bali choi boyim and Ephraim." The Balchov can collect the afilu lachanan the omer the hamefarnis ishto shel chavero. Let's say the guy went to Medina Siyam and you decide to support this man's wife. So according to the din of Chanan, he says hanich moisav al keren tzvi, wasted your money that you gave her money, because it's like putting it on the horn of a deer. Hani mili b'malo mazonoseha. That's only because she's lacking mazonos. Avo kashi loive. If she's a borrower, chayeves he b'mashal vasa. You should certainly pay her back what she owed. Ubal chayiv nifrayin min abal, and a bal chayiv can collect from the husband. The moitziin mizeh b'naisin lezeh midrab nosan. Okay, skipping 10 lines. The hachi kaimer. Im isa de chilufeim kigidulehen. If it's true that the exchange is comparable to its growth, so damu heich bali chayvin boinim Ephraim. Then how do they have the ability to collect? Hacha nan sahadi di adaita dida noches. So we end up trying to bring a raya from Mekadesh Ba'arla, says the Ran. I feel Avram in the henna. Even if a certain person violated Gahana of Arla, shechilufein ba'acher, dilahavi chalifi chalipin asurin. The asiri chalipin min rabbanan. If let's say it was the Isser Rabbanan, so then Havilon Latsruchi Kedusha Achrini. He would have to give another Kedusha money. When in Halacha, says the Ran, like Gabi Noider Atzmo, the Armor Elu, a person says these, Nafil Achlim Acher, Noider Aser Behen, Bahainam Asnisen. Avol Kishidiru Acher, V'chein Nami Ben Noider Atzmo, the Loy Armor Elu, Mistabra de lakula nekiti. Okay, fine. So let's see a couple of questions over here, and hopefully this will help us understand this a little bit better. Let's start off actually with TB 23. Ma chomer b'loshen koinem beischa. Why is your house more strict? Mikoinem ba'zeh. Ma chomer b'loshen koinem ba'zeh mikoinem beischa. So this is mamish like question 11. I'm assuming. So zeh is mashmal oilam. So if you are moichered or die, the din still applies. It remains aser. Mashin kain beischa. Once it is no longer your house, it's mutter. If the house falls down and you need to build it, then it's not the house anymore. Therefore, it's mutter. Okay, let's just make sure that that's what he's asking. Chaymer loshen by zeh. This house, the af imachor anastim b'matana. Aser. Okay, that was TB 23. Okay. That was Mem's item at Olive. TA 22. Ha'isr Paris b'koinem al atzmo. Person asers fruits on himself. Be'ez oifen aser b'chilufein. So when is it usher even in its exchange? So he says, I Omer Paris Elu usher b'chilufein. If he says these fruits, it's also even the chilufein. Im Omer Paris Stam. If he just says these fruits, it just says Paris, doesn't say Elu, the chalif anachar, and someone else switches it, mutter. Im Omer Paris Stam, the chalifin hu, the chilufein hu, havi meboya b'gemara. Okay, Adkan.